It was nice to see Dudley from the Harry Potter series show up in a character that's not Dudley.
Oh my gosh, that's Dudley?
Elizabeth! That's Dudley from Harry Potter, who plays Harry Beltic. I just blew her mind right now. She looked so confused when I was saying that too. I was like, uh-oh, am I confused?
Oh my gosh! Hello and welcome to the Art of Costume Blogcast. I'm Elizabeth Joy Glass.
And I'm Spencer Williams.
How's it going, Spencer?
It's going. It's been a long week, but
a very long week.
But I'm excited to talk to you. You know, I've been watching a lot of TV this week, so I have a lot of thoughts and feelings.
Same. I wasn't quite ready for all the TV I watched, but it was enjoyable.
Yes, totally. Ugh. So Elizabeth, what are we watching this week?
So this week we watched The Queen's Gambit.
Woohoo! Finally.
It was one of those things where I was like, why would I want to watch a chess show? Oh, that's why I want to watch a show about chess.
Yeah, if I had $1 for every person that told me to watch The Queen's Gambit, I would have probably $20.
It was one of those things where I'm like, I just don't have time for this. Well, and then it gets nominated for an Emmy, and I'm like, I guess I can make time for this.
It's just like, ever since we started a podcast, I've been able to start watching more TV. I felt like before the podcast, I was really just watching Veep and The Office reruns constantly, but now I'm venturing out and, watching The Queen's Gambit.
I know, same. I'm like, this was the most dramatic thing I'd watched in a very long time. Because I was just watching, the British Bake Off and Ted Lasso. That's all I was doing. Now I'm like, oh, right, drama.
I also desperately want to learn how to play chess now.
I don't. That just looks hella confusing.
Elizabeth, ever since The Queen's Gambit came out, sales of chess sets in the United States rose by around 25%. But since the release of The Queen's Gambit premiered, sales have grown 125%. All because of this show.
That's insane.
I know. So people...
good for chess.
Good for you, chess. We were rooting for you.
I didn't know I was rooting for you, but apparently.
I learned how to play chess, kind of, when I was in Boy Scouts as a kid. And clearly it didn't stick with me, so...
I vaguely remember, I think my dad was trying to teach my brother how to play it, and I kind of vaguely remember them doing that. And I think my dad also has a Lord of the Rings chess set.
Ooh, I was looking at those on Amazon this week.
They're nice.
I want a Lord of the Rings chess set. I'll also settle for a Game of Thrones chess set, but...
Okay. Well, now I know what to get you for your birthday.
Uh-oh. You're gonna have to send, some of those Queen's Gambit, chess books so I learn how to play.
Sure. I'll just get all themed ones.
Do you know what a book is? Can you send me one of those?
I know what a book is.
Okay.
What is happening?
All right. Well, I'll start us off with a summary so we can start to break down this really lengthy, wonderful show.
Yes. It was long, but it actually went by, very quickly.
It wasn't so much to me that it was long. It was just that there were so many costumes that
There are so many characters.
So many characters and costumes. I have to admit, I'm a little intimidated this week. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, and I don't really know where to start.
I know. We're going to do our best, so start us off with a summary.
All right. So I haven't read this since I wrote it, so let's hope it still works out. In the 1950s, Beth Harmon is orphaned and sent to live at a Christian girls' orphanage. I don't know how to say the name of this orphanage. Through the many years of mistreatment and addiction, Beth finds a way to cope with her depression by playing chess with the custodian, William Shable. Beth quickly becomes a chess genius and falls in love with the game. After many years, Beth is adopted and sent to live with her new family, the Wheatleys. While her days at the orphanage are behind her, Beth's love for chess and issues of addiction follow her to her new home and into her adult life. The Queen's Gambit is a story of perseverance, dedication, and facing one's demons, running parallel to Beth's journey from young orphan to chess grandmaster.
Yes!
Ayo!
That was a good one, Spencer.
Pat myself on the back.
For anyone who has not watched The Queen's Gambit yet, spoiler warning, we're going to talk all about it. We're not hiding anything here. So go watch it if that bothers you, and then come back.
Secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone. I think that's the quote.
Probably.
Anyway, spoiler alert, she plays a lot of chess, and she looks good doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, she does. Oh my gosh, she does. With that, let's go behind the wardrobe. So, The Queen's Gambit was directed by Scott Frank with costume design by Gabriele Binder. Best known for The Lives of Others, In the Land of Blood and Honey, and Never Look Away. So, I don't know about you, but I loved her look this entire time. And I didn't really notice this till I did the research, but Gabrielle, she was like, because her hair's so bright, it's so red, she thought that her clothes shouldn't equal that brightness. She was like, she's just kind of like a reclusive chess player. So she didn't want her clothes to attract too much attention to her, which I found really interesting because Beth dresses stellar through the whole thing. She's a character in a show that actually enjoys fashion and dressing, which is one of the things I liked about this. They didn't make her just some chess genius who couldn't care less about what she looks like, which I feel like they do a lot of times with smart people. But she was also she's not trying to put herself out there. So she chose more muted colors. You only see her in red once so that it doesn't compete with her hair. And she also didn't want to show any cleavage because she was well, Beth wouldn't want guys staring at her boobs while she's playing chess. So she never wears a low cut top or dress in this. Everything's up to her neck. And I was that's something I wouldn't have thought of because it takes place in the late 50s and 60s. So it's oh, that was just the fashion. But it's no, that was something she did very intentionally. Also very interesting about this is she wanted to mirror what was happening inside of Beth the whole time. She's quoted in an interview with Vogue saying, "I always try to mirror what's happening inside a character with what they are wearing on the outside. And the checks are something that I thought would be immediately interesting to Anya's character, as she would intuitively choose to wear pieces that are connected to chess." Which I'm that is so true. The first outfit she gets for herself has a checkered print on it. She wears a lot of black and white, a lot of checkered clothing. And I was that's so interesting.
Yeah, from the beginning all the way to the end, you can see a lot of chess influences in everything she wears, which is super cool.
Everything she wears.
You might not notice it the first time, but if you really pay attention, you'll start to notice it.
Yeah, it was so brilliant. And Gabrielle, she wasn't sure about doing the script doing the show at first, because she was I don't know anything about chess. Why would I want to do a show about chess? But then she's as soon as she read the script, she was oh, I need to do this.
It is intimidating. I mean, chess is such a confusing game to me, but it's more than just about chess though. Yeah. That is just it's almost chess is her weapon to express herself. It's not really all about chess.
Yeah, it's the first thing she has that's hers, that she's able to control in her life. And that's what she makes her life all about.
Well, I love the show so much. Like I said, there is a lot to break down. So I think we're going to take a short break. And when we get back, we're just going to get right into it. Let's get her done.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Elizabeth, are you ready to play some chess? Or at least pretend we know how to play chess?
I'm ready to be a spectator of chess.
Yeah. I bet you by Christmas time, you and I are going to be playing chess. Just wait.
We're going to be like king to Y10. I don't know.
Oh, that's so funny. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so in episode 1, called Openings, at the age of 9, Beth is orphaned by her mother and sent to live in a girls' orphanage. At this orphanage, she meets her best friend Jolene, and she also meets the custodian, Mr. Shable, who starts to teach her how to play chess. While at the orphanage, Beth gets addicted to tranquilizers, probably as every other kid at this orphanage is getting addicted to tranquilizers.
Oh, yeah.
As it's given to them every single day. These tranquilizers allow Beth to hallucinate and play a game of chess on the ceiling at night, and she practices every night just laying in bed. At the same time, she goes and visits Mr. Sable in the basement every day to go play chess with him. All this practice leads to her becoming a real chess protege. She becomes so good that she gets invited to a local high school to play everyone in the chess club, where she easily destroys every single one of these guys at their chessboards.
Destroys them.
Yeah, mutilates them, and I loved watching it. When the orphanage is banned from giving all the girls tranquilizers, Beth is unable to practice by hallucinating and becomes desperate to get more. When she attempts to steal them from school, Beth is banned from playing from chess after she, very clumsy, dropped the giant jar of tranquilizers all over the place.
I was like, girl, come on. Like, she's stuffing them in her mouth, which I'm like, I think you're smart enough to know you never do that. She's stuffing them in her pockets. And I was like, she was so close to getting away with this if she didn't try to take the whole thing with her.
Yeah, I was like, where are you going to put that giant thing? Like, no one's going to notice that?
Yeah.
It's a small school. Anyways.
It's a small orphanage. And I love that the orphanage is just keeping them around. Like, I
know. Like, well, we can't throw them out.
We can't throw them out. I love, she's like, where's the green one? He's like, wouldn't you know, you can't give tranquilizers to kids.
Shocking. I cannot believe that this was a thing. This world is just terrible.
Dude, people used to put alcohol in their teething babies' gums to get them to shut up, so...
No. God. I can't. I just can't with this place. I hate it here. Okay.
Well, thankfully, at least she's clothed in this place.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I think one of the first costumes we should talk about would be the dress that she wears at the very beginning of the show.
Yeah, so her mom dies in a car accident, and she's wearing something her mother made for her. It's like a very, very light green, minty green, with her name beautifully embroidered on it. And her mom says, oh, like, you'll never forget who you are. And this color, she ends up coming back to quite a lot throughout the series. It's supposed to be her home color, but she gets to the orphanage and they were just like, let's burn this. Yeah,
let's get rid of it. I did love Beth's name, Elizabeth. When I heard it, I was like, oh, brother, of course it's Elizabeth.
It's a classic name. What can I say?
The use of Peter Pan collars in this show, I mean, it's all over.
It's all over the place. Like, so when she gets to the orphanage, they seem like really, like, good at first. Like, the woman who runs it, she's, like, very smartly dressed. She wears beautiful dresses the whole time.
Oh, yeah, stunning.
Yeah. Especially that green one with, like, the little, like, leaf embellishment. Ooh, so good.
Yeah.
Ugh. They seem like they really have it together at first, and then she's like, okay, well, first we're gonna, like, get you some new clothes, because granted, her clothes are filthy. But then she immediately puts her in this just, like, gross, like, pinafore dress, long sleeve Peter Pan collar, and, like, all the girls look exactly the same. she has this terrible bob haircut given to her. I was like, oh my gosh, this poor girl.
I know. The uniform is so tragic. At first I was like, it's okay. But then once I realized that she had to give up all her old clothes, wear this uniform every day, I was like, okay, that's cruel. That's almost as cruel as the tranquilizers.
Yeah, that's cruel. And it's like, yeah. And clearly, like, the woman who runs it, she looks good the whole time. Like, clearly, they could probably afford better clothes for these poor orphan girls.
Come on. Or at least let them wear their own clothes, and if they're having, like, an adoption meeting, put on the uniform. But
yeah, but, like, I don't think they even let Beth, like, bring any of her own stuff, because it's, like, literally the dress she wore in the accident is the same one she gets dropped off at the orphanage in. And I'm like, did no one, like, try to find her father, like...
Well, I have a feeling that her home life was very tragic. I wasn't very clear on what was happening at home. I just knew it wasn't a good time.
I know. I'm like, you find out later in the show, like, her mom had a family. Like,
yeah,
no one wanted this kid. It just feels like they took her straight from the accident site to this orphanage. Like, didn't even try to figure out who she was.
Yeah. Right? They're like, I'm trying to get home. Jeopardy's on tonight. I just need to drop this girl off at the orphanage real quick.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay.
You don't have any belongings? That's fine. I don't really have room in the trunk anyways.
Exactly. But at least she meets Mr. Scheibel.
Oh, yeah. He's a cool guy. I like this guy.
He's so cool. And, like, clearly at first he's like, I just want to play chess. Please go away.
Yeah, I mean, this girl walks in like a potato sack outfit with the world's worst bob. And she's like, can I play with you? I'd be like, no. Yeah.
Well, she's cleaning erasers, which, like, those things, it's like the death of you when you try to clean them.
My asthma was acting up just watching the scene. I was like,
you sent her to the basement to do that? You were not like, oh, go outside. Like, don't get the dust all over your clothes. Take that outside.
The custodian must have been so pissed. He's like, can you please stop?
I would have been.
But yeah, as we mentioned, there's not a lot of costumes in the first episode because everyone's forced to wear these tragic uniforms, except for the lovely headmistress. But
I know.
Other than that, there's not a lot going on here.
There's not a lot going on at all. And by the end of the episode, she's not even allowed to play chess.
I know. The show's over. That's it, everyone.
Show's over. That's it. No more. At least she does get to read a lot of books, though. About chess, which we do find out in episode 2, Exchanges. At 15, Beth is adopted by Mr. and Mrs. Wheatley. The wife, she's like excited to have a kid. The husband clearly could not care less. So she moves in with them. She struggles to connect with her new family. Because the mother is a mess. Mrs. Wheatley is a mess. She's struggling with being a mother and the fact that her marriage is, like, crumbling around her. She doesn't fit in at school. Like, people tease her about her looks because she's still wearing her clothes from the orphanage. But she doesn't really care about that because she's preoccupied with getting back into chess. And she also discovers the wider world of chess and that, people write magazines and you can read all these different books and go to tournaments. And as she's getting ready for this tournament, she finds her mother's tranquilizers. So
yummy.
She's like, oh, looky what we have here now. So she is able to go to her first tournament. She dominates the competition and wins against the best player there, Harry Beltic.
I love this episode. It's so fun. My favorite scene is when she walks up and she's signing up for the tournament. That is like, the entire show could be cut to just that one scene. It would still be Emmy worthy.
I know. And the two guys there who, like, they kind of treat her like jackasses at first. But they end up becoming, like, friends with her. But they're just like, you're a girl. Why are you here?
What's your rating?
what's your rating? She's just answering, I don't know. They're like, you go, like, take your money, go home. And she's like, no, I'm gonna win. And they're like, no, you're not.
Yeah. What does it matter? I'm gonna beat every last person in this building, so.
Yeah. And she's still wearing that awful, like, pinafore jumper with the Peter Pan collar.
It's so funny because it's like she left the orphanage and it's almost like she forgot that there was like an outside world where people were wearing other clothes. Like it's almost like she assumed everyone was going to be wearing the same orphanage uniforms when she left.
Well, I feel like they were just isolated from the rest of the world. Like they went to school there, they lived there. I don't think she probably didn't leave that property for, 6 years?
I mean, probably more than that. I don't know, but it seemed like a long time.
I love when, like, the Wheatleys are there to, like, interview her to be their child, I guess. The mistress who runs it, she's like, she's 13. And Beth is like, 15, but okay.
Gotta do what you gotta do. I loved Mrs. Wheatley. She was such a cool character. I was just almost kind of confused by her because at first I felt like, oh wow, she's so glamorous, but like her life was such a like lie the entire time.
Yeah,
I loved when she took Beth to go clothes shopping, and you realize like actually how drab her life was. I mean, her outfit was so dark and gloomy and gray, but she still looked really put together. It's very like that 1950s housewife uniform. And then she's buying the clothes for Beth, and it's just, she's such a great character.
She's such a great character, and you feel for her because, like, she has a crappy life. Her husband is, like, slowly retreating from their marriage.
Slowly. I felt like it was quickly. I was like, this man is out of here.
Yeah. Well, he goes on a lot of long business trips at first.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, peace.
Yeah. He literally got her a child to leave her alone. He's like, here's a child. I gotta go.
Go away. And apparently they, like, lost a kid, and she's just, like, stuck in this life that she hates. And it's like, oh, Mrs. Wheatley.
Can we talk about Beth going to high school in her orphanage uniform some more? Because
the kids are so mean.
They're so mean. But also, she stands out so much. I'm just like, who let her go to school in this uniform? That's messed up.
Mrs. Wheatley let her do that. Because Mrs. Wheatley has forgotten how to be a parent.
I mean, I don't think she knew how to be a parent. This is like me just adopting a kid. I'm just going to go pick up a kid one day and just hope for the best.
I'll be calling CPS.
That would be terrible.
If I ever see just a toddler, like, toddling behind you while we do this, I'm like...
Yeah, that would be bad for everybody.
I will not give you the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, God. But I loved when she finally got to the tournament. It was cool, like, seeing all of the characters dressed, you know. It's like Gabriele Binder really starts to create a world in this episode. This very classic 1950s dress. I love all the shirts on the men. Mm-hmm. I thought they were all very nicely done. Especially, it was nice to see Dudley from the Harry Potter series show up in a character that's not Dudley.
Oh my gosh, that's Dudley?
Elizabeth! That's Dudley from Harry Potter, who plays Harry Beltic. I just blew her mind right now. She looked so confused when I was saying that, too. I was like, uh-oh, am I confused?
Oh, my gosh. I see it now. Because he did look, like, vaguely familiar, but I was like, okay, whatever. Like, he's barely in the series, even though he has, like, a really big role, ironically. But, oh, my gosh. I just assumed Dudley had, like, disappeared into the night.
No, he looks good.
After Harry Potter.
I like his outfit.
He looks so good. Also... Towns, who she meets him there for the first time as well. He looks fantastic.
I'm sure he does.
He always looks fantastic.
He looks strangely familiar. Kind of looks like Sebastian Stan.
No.
Yeah, That's why you like him.
I mean, I like him. He's hot. But I don't think he looks like Sebastian Stan.
Anyways, I love all the outfits and all the men in this show, particularly this episode.
Yeah.
It's just so funny seeing Beth just really dominate all these guys, though, and they're like her still orphanage uniform and her crazy bob.
And she doesn't even give it a second thought. When she plays Harry Beltic, he's straight up late to their game. Because he just assumes he's going to win it in, like, a couple moves, I guess. And she's just like, no.
Yeah, you're tripping.
You're tripping. But this is not the first time she's going to dominate a whole bunch of men at chess, is it, Spencer?
No, she's going to do it every episode if she has to. So let's talk about episode 3, Double Pawns. I love this episode. Once Mrs. Wheatley, that her new girl is making some cash money off of dominating men in chess every week.
She's down.
She's down. She's into it. I didn't know chess could be a job.
Yeah, she's like, I'll write you all the sick notes you need to get out of school.
Oh my gosh, I know. That's so terrible. So with the support of her mom, Mrs. Wheatley, Beth wins her second competition and gains the ongoing support of Mrs. Wheatley. She wants to travel the world. She even offers herself to be her agent. I want 10%. Which I thought was bizarre, but also okay. Beth even says, sure, we'll do 15%, because Beth knows she's about to be making a lot of money. She continues to win and becomes a celebrity, despite the fact that most of the press is all about that she's just a young girl dominating everyone. Through her celebrity, she starts to become accepted, but she finds herself unable to fit in with the other chess players. After heading to Las Vegas for tournament, Beth finally meets her match when she meets Benny Watts and loses her first game. And that is Doubled Pawns.
Yes. I love this episode because it's where she starts to get her style.
Yeah. I love when, recently she saw a mannequin and she was just like, with her new money, it's time to start stepping up the style. Mm-hmm. And I love that she has no sense of what real style is. So she sees a mannequin and she's just like, well, that's what style is. So that's what I'm going to be.
Yeah. I love it because she's like, wins her first game and she has all more money than she's ever had in her life. So she immediately goes, she's like, okay, gotta buy a chess set, gotta buy all these books. And then she sees that mannequin again and she's like, and I'm gonna buy this dress.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, off of the mannequin. There's just so many great outfits in this episode. I don't even know where to start.
There really are.
I love the scenes with Beth and her mother just traveling on the planes, having some drinks. I love them having dinner in Vegas. The colors and the sets in the show are absolutely stunning.
They're so good. And I love when her and her mom have dinner because it's her mom's like, I don't know anything about chess, but I'll sit here and listen to you talk about it all day long.
Yes, she's essentially like, I'm being paid to sit here and listen to you right now, and that's fine with me. Can I have another drink, please?
I love the plaid checkered dress with the white. That's probably the most revealing shirt she wears the whole time.
Yeah.
But that's where the checker pattern comes in. Then when she's being interviewed, it's the dress with the little white collar. I think that with the white collar, that was probably my favorite one.
Ooh, yeah, I do love that she literally is on the nose about wearing checkers on her dress. Chess has become her life, and it's not just what she does, it's just she is chess, and she embodies that in everything that she wears. And I think that's so cool. I do have a bone to pick, though, and I don't know if you're going to feel the same way, but I have a serious problem. Okay, Benny Watts.
What's wrong with Benny Watts?
Something here is not right. I like the costume on him. I like this outsider, bad guy type of cowboy look he has. Kind of like a Star Wars bounty hunter look. But also, the kid looks like he's 12 with a fake beard. This costume and him do not match. It does not work. And it's not the costume's fault. It's not the designer's fault. It's the casting. He is just too young for this look. I don't like it.
That man is in his 30s.
Is he really?
Yes.
Wow. Well, he looks good for being 30. But it's just... Is he really 30? We're getting a fact check. Production.
He was born in 1990. So he's in his early 30s.
Wow.
He's older than us.
That's crazy. I like the costume. I just don't feel like at this point in the show it was ready for him. He does wear like a version of it in a couple episodes from now, and it works. But like in this episode, it didn't work for me.
Well, I think he was really supposed to stand out. Gabrielle said to Vogue, I imagine Benny Watts could be connected to Andy Warhol's factory. He's so different from everybody else. He's not the chess geek, as with Beth. He's an outsider.
Yeah. I get it. And I think maybe it's the hat. I think it's the hat for me.
It is the hat. That is part of the problem. The coat, like if I was going to say anything, I think it's the coat. It's a little bit too much for him, especially wearing it inside. I'm like, dude, take your coat off. That's leather. How are you not dying? But yeah, it's the coat. I don't think it's so much the hat.
Like I said, it's not the costume. For me, it's more like the casting and like who he's supposed to be portraying at this point. It just didn't work for me. But
well, I mean, he's supposed to be extremely young too. I don't think he's that much.
That's what I'm saying. He's supposed to be like a young boy at this time. So I'm like, I feel like he showed up dressed as like someone from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with like, like a piece of...
He's a young guy in the 1950s. What do you think his inspiration is? It's probably all cowboy movies.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, now that I got that off my chest.
Good to know. Towns does make another appearance in this, though. He's good.
Oh, yes.
I was like, for a second, I was like, is he going to get with Beth right now? And I was like... I like it, but he's too old for her.
Also, I think it was implied that Beth is not really his type.
I don't know. I was very confused.
I'm pretty sure that was his boyfriend that walked in the hotel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't put that together.
I think so. I mean, it was subtle, but I had a feeling
there was a lot of like ambiguous stuff going on that I was like, can this be explained? It'll take 2 seconds.
I think you have to read between the lines.
I think you do, but I'm also just like, I want to know.
I think that's why they didn't vibe. So
yeah. I thought it was more the fact that she was a minor. But
yeah, I mean, that too. Anyways. But all in all, a very wonderful episode. I do love how Beth's hair is starting to transform slowly.
Yes.
We're leaving the bob behind slowly. We're not going to like totally jump right into a new hairstyle, but it's starting to morph. But
she gets that like longer bob. It's very nice. It flatters her face very well. It's a good look for her. Yeah,
like this works, this hairstyle works. Ooh, and there was one dress I love too while she's playing with Benny. She has like that blue top with the white skirt.
Oh yeah, like the kind of sailor top.
Yeah, it's so cute. Oh, I love it. She looks good in blue.
It's so cute. That color looks great.
I mean, Anya Taylor-Joy just looks good on everything. That's just...
She does.
It is what it is.
And if we sound a little bit confused while we're describing like her outfits, it's just because there's so many of them. There's so many of them.
Right? I mean, she must have like 2 million looks. I don't even know how a costume designer put all this together. It's just incredible.
It's insane. Like, I feel like she has 20, like, different looks.
I would say more than 20.
Each episode.
Each episode. Yeah. I mean, this is why Gabriele Binder is nominated for an Emmy this year, and it's so well-deserved. I mean, I would not be surprised if she won. It's just, this is brilliant work.
It's insane. And I believe most of it was custom made for her.
Probably.
But anyway.
With that, we have some more chess tournaments coming up, so I think we need to take a break and study up on our moves, and we'll come up with a game plan on the other side.
Knight to b5.
I'm going to do the Sicilian after this, whatever that means.
Ooh, the Sicilian Open? I have no idea. Let me go Google it. And welcome So episode 4, Middle Game, Beth graduates from high school finally and goes to her first tournament abroad in Mexico City. She's excited. Her mother is excited to meet up with a longtime pen pal. Ooh. So while her mother's having the time of her life, Beth is stressing over playing the most experienced player she's ever faced from the USSR, Borgov. She's just studying, and her mother's like, calm down, we're in Mexico, have some fun. So she meets up with some guys who she's seen at a couple of the tournaments, tries to widen her social circle, and she's upset when she has to face off with Borgov and concede the game. She loses. However, this ends up being the least of her worries when, sadly, she gets to her hotel room to find her mother has passed away.
Ugh, that was so sad. I hated that scene.
It was so sad because she's just talking to her, and then she looks over and it's like, she's fully dead.
I love that she was talking to her dead mom about chess, and her mom's just like, oh, God, it passed away.
It was so terrible. And then the hotel manager, when he's like, oh, we're gonna like take care of your entire bill, don't worry about it. And there was a really big liquor bill. He's like, by the way, I have an idea on how this might have happened, and I think we should look to the liquor bill for maybe some insight. I'm just like, dude, if you're taking care of the bill either way, why'd you bring it up?
I mean, in a way, I feel like this is kind of me being like, no, don't worry, I'll help you. Even though you're severely inconveniencing me, and this is going to take up a lot of my time, but I'll take care of it.
If I was Beth, I'd be like, I didn't ask you to do that, but okay. Please don't. My mother just died. My father is like, you take care of this, not willing to like lift a finger to help. Yeah. I don't need your shame about.
He literally just like gives her some notes on where like the family plot is on all this stuff and expects Beth to be writing it down. I'm like, put it in an email, send it to my Yahoo account. Like,
send a letter. Why don't you call these people and be like, hey, this chick is going to show up with my dead wife?
Before we talk about the costumes, I just want to ask, how the hell did Beth graduate from high school? She never went.
I assume she probably, like, a lot of those kids, they just, like, as long as they, like, turn in all the work that's due and take the tests, like, they're fine. And, like, clearly throughout the show, like, there are flashbacks to her and her her birth mother. And her birth mother was, like, a mathematical genius. So, and clearly Beth is smart. So I think she just, like, blows through her schoolwork.
I wish I was good at math.
Me too.
But good for you, Beth. I'm glad you graduated from high school. I just did not see that coming with all the sick notes she was putting in.
Right?
All right, Elizabeth, there's a lot of costumes to talk about in this episode.
There's a lot. And, like, this is where she really comes into her own style. Because she's, like...
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is the fashion episode.
Yeah. She's winning competitions, like, left, right, and center. She's raking in that prize money. She puts it to good use in her closet. The first thing where I was like, ooh, Beth, is that white dress with the V-neck that she wears when she's...
Oof.
I think it's like the first day of the competition in Mexico. I was like, oh, hello.
Oh, yeah.
Like the little buttoned straps. I'm like, this is gorgeous.
I love that dress so much. And when we look closely at the buttons on it, there's a checkerboard within it.
There is. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that's so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good dress. I love it so much.
Such a good dress. And her mother is also looking good. She's hanging out with her pen pal. She looks good. She's just like, I'm dancing. I'm having a good time.
She's living her best life. She is loving it. She's like, I love chess. Chess rocks.
Chess rocks. I'm going out tonight. You have fun. And she's like, okay. And, like, what you said about, like, oh, the checkers. The checkers are, like, all over her wardrobe. She wears that adorable swimsuit.
Oh, yeah.
With the checkers all over it.
And I didn't even notice that when I was watching it. But I'm like, wow, she's, like, literally wearing, like, a chessboard type, pattern on her swimsuit even.
Everything is chess. Chess is life. Chess is life for her.
I love this idea that she's playing chess, but she's not even doing it for the money. She's doing it because, like, this is what she loves and what she knows. And, like, she has all this money now, and the only thing she uses it is to buy clothes, because other than that, she doesn't even care. She's just like, I guess I could buy more clothes that have to do with chess.
Yeah, she really doesn't. She just, like, buys clothes and books and, like, books about chess, and that's it.
I do love the scene where she hangs out with all of her friends from the Russian class. I just love this top that Beth is wearing because it's black and it just has like little accents of white in it. And it's just like, I love this monochromatic wardrobe that she's doing. It's just, everything is about chess.
Everything is about chess. Every single outfit.
Oh, she's wearing checkerboard pants too. I just realized.
Yeah.
It's so subtle.
It's so subtle, and it really comes out in this episode. And then I love, once again, the guys in this episode look very dapper. Borgoff, his suit is beautiful. like, ooh. The Russians put a lot of money into you.
If there was ever a character or a costume that screamed like USSR, it's this costuming character. I mean, just him sitting at the chess table, I'm like, oh, that must be Borgoff. He looks exactly like how you'd imagine him.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, you're the Russian player.
The costume's perfect.
I also love the kid she plays earlier in the episode who's also Russian.
Aw, that was a cute scene.
He's so cute, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're like a mini Borgoff.
I loved how Beth played that kid. She was making me nervous. I think her tactic was just to make him so stressed where she would walk away, start tapping her foot. Yeah. I'd be like, okay, I give up. You win.
Know. Yeah, she's just like stressing him out. And then I think she feels bad afterwards, though, because he's like, are drive-in movies a real thing? And she's like, yeah, of course they are. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm just like, Beth, why did you have to make an example of this little kid? Like, I swear, she is like a medieval warrior or something when it comes to chess. She just makes examples of people.
I'm like, he's a kid growing up in Soviet Russia. Give him some slack.
The last note I want to give is that the textiles that Mrs. Wheatley wears are just so beautiful. I just want to touch all her fabrics. They all just look so comfortable. She's wearing like a quilted fabric at one point that just looks so nice and plush and cozy.
Especially because, like, her wardrobe, there's not, like, a ton of color in it, like Beth. She's a very monochromatic dresser. But you don't notice it because the textiles are always very interesting.
Yeah, also I feel like compared to the Mrs. Wheatley we met in episode 2, like when she took Beth shopping and she's wearing this very gray, like really gloomy black and white outfit. Now she has like a little bit of color. You know, it's pastel. There's a little bit of pink and blue. Her silhouettes are like really fun. It's almost like she's starting to come back to life as she met her new pen pal. Unfortunately, things don't work out for her and her pen pal, so that's when I think she resorts back to her old ways. But for a little bit, we got to see the happy Mrs. Wheatley, and I liked it a lot.
So good, but Beth is about to go off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, so in episode 5, known as Fork, after her mother's death, Beth returns home and receives an unlikely call from Harry Beltic, who offers to train her. She's definitely in a very dark place at this time. She's very upset. She not only lost her mom, but I think above all, she's upset that she lost a game too.
Just 2 major blows in one day.
Yeah, I don't know which one was worse for her, to losing to Borgoff or to losing her mother, literally. So she moves back home, and Harry Beltic calls her, offers to train her, so he moves in with her and coaches her in an attempt to get closer to Beth. But soon leaves when he finds out that Beth does not care about him the same way he cares about her. And he moves out. Also, he realizes that she's way better at chess than him, so this training is really kind of useless. Beth goes to a tournament in Ohio where she runs into Benny Watts again and beats him at a game of chess. Afterwards, Benny offers to train her in New York so she can play later on in Russia. I love this episode. I thought it was really nice. I loved lots of great costumes in this episode. I think it's very, very typical of Harry Beltic thinking that if I do something for you, then you have to do something for me, which includes loving me. And Beth is like, no, that's not how it works. He gets all upset and leaves. I don't like this guy.
No.
Men.
I know. I didn't like him either because, like, it's weird because, like, he met her during a chess tournament when she was, like, 15. And, like, he's been following her career all these years. And he's like, oh, I fixed my teeth for you. He's, like, in love with her for no apparent reason just because she beat him at chess once. It's real weird.
Yeah. The real toxic masculinity really jumped out of Harry in this episode. Like, what do you mean? I got my teeth done for you and now I trained you and you're not in love with me? Yeah.
And she's like, no.
She's like, I just want to really read this book about chess right now, but you could leave if you want. And so he does. I'm just like, this is weird. Some of these characters, I just want to shake them sometimes.
I know. She misses him, but she's like, I have another competition to go to and to look amazing. And again, she starts to wear these little, like, headscarves. And I'm like, yes, that looks so good on you.
Ooh, so nice. Yeah, we're definitely starting to get into the 60s here, definitely, with these prints and fabrics. I do love, before we go to the competition in Ohio, I love Beth's costume where she's just wearing like a black t-shirt. It's just like her kind of casually at home while she's with Harry.
Oh, yeah, with the like mock turtleneck.
Yeah, I love that look on her. She's just so sophisticated and cool and classy.
She really is.
It's very 60s, but it's just as like, I love black on her. She looks really good in black, and she just looks so sophisticated, and I love it.
So good. But at the competition is where she really shines. It's like she, like, waits to go to a competition to pull out all of her nice stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I love this. I think it's the first costume she's wearing. It has the, like, V stripes in, like, navy and red with, like, this cute little skirt that buttons on the side. I was like, yes, like, you look so cute, girl.
I love that color on her. I love that when she is not playing chess, she kind of experiments with her necklines a little bit. And since that, she's like, okay, I can be a little bit more revealing because, you know, I'm still a young woman. I want to, like...
She wants to be sexy.
Yeah. She wants to be sexy on her, you know, on her time, but not on Chess's time.
No.
So she's playing with different shapes. I love the skirt on her, and I love the use of headbands, like you mentioned. But yeah, that blue and red top that she's wearing is very, very nice.
It is. That was, like, my favorite look of this episode, especially because it's, like, probably the most fun, like, kind of flirty thing she's worn so far. Because, like, even, she always looks great, but it's always, like, very structured, and that had a little less structure to it.
I think one of my favorite outfits of this episode is when her and Benny go into the auditorium, and she's wearing this really fun 60s textile, and there's squares all over it like a checkerboard or chessboard. But it's like retro and 60s, or it's almost like a funky chessboard where it's still squares, but it's all different colors. That's so fun. I love that. It's like, oh, no, I'm still dedicated to chess, but, you know, we're starting to get a little groovy here with our textiles, too.
Yes. So good. And then even when she finally beats Benny, and she's like so serious in this because she's got like her black headscarf, the black and like white trimmed shirt, and just like I think just like a khaki skirt because she's like, this is business right now. I can't be too interested in anything else.
Yes. Such a good episode. I think this might have been one of my favorites. So before we start to wrap up the show, I think we should take one more break because we have a lot of chess moves to study.
There's a lot of chess moves to study, and Beth just makes a lot of moves in her personal life as well.
Yeah. Need to rest up before I get into all those tranquilizers again.
Yeah. ready for episode 6, Adjournment?
What if I said I wasn't ready?
Too bad. Too bad. We're headed right into it. Beth and Benny, he's driving her to his home in New York. They play mental chess the whole way there, which I was like, that's too much. But you do you. They get to New York. Benny's life is not what she's expecting. However, she ends up learning a lot from him and meets some new friends, including a glamorous French model, Cleo, before she heads to a tournament in Paris. There, she's ready to face off with Borgov again, and she's crushing the competition. However, the night before she's about to face off with Borgov, Cleo surprises her and is like, hey, I'm in Paris. Let's have drinks. And Beth is like, maybe a drink, because she's kind of stopped drinking at this point. She knows it's not the best for her. And Beth is like, okay, a drink. She gets drunk, shows up to her competition with Borgov late and hungover, and is forced to resign the game, losing to Borgov yet again. And making things worse, when Beth gets home, Mr. Wheatley is trying to throw her out of the house, even though he said, like, oh yeah, you can live there, just make the mortgage payments. Now he's like, no, I need the money this house will bring in from being sold, so, like, get out. And she's like, well, you want to sell it? I'll buy it. Because she's just as good at saving money as playing chess, apparently. So she buys the house. She starts remodeling it. She's just trying to get over the loss of her game to Borgov and the loss of her mother. But she quickly spirals out of control, causing both Harry Beltic and her old friend Jolene to intervene.
Oof, this was a good episode.
This was a good episode, because, like, clearly she had a problem the first couple episodes, but then, like, through some people being like, hey, maybe lay off your pills and drinking, she kind of, like, low-key gets it together, and then this episode, it just all falls apart.
Yeah, she goes on a spiral. So I do love the scenes with Beth and Benny at Benny's home in New York. I feel like Benny's character is now fully realized. I love the costumes on him.
Do you approve of him now?
Like I said, we just had to get there, and we got there, and now I think it's working. He just had to grow into his character, you know, as he got older and more mature.
Yeah, he's a little less cowboy in this, and a little more, like, has more of that, like, musician vibe to him, which I think is much better. It works for Beth, too. I was not expecting that. I was like, oh, okay.
It definitely worked for Beth. I don't really see it, but, you know, chess players deserve love, too.
They do. They do.
Let's talk about this trip to Paris.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. Let's get into the Paris trip, because this is where her fashion is in this episode. She looks so good in that, like, light green and black dress when she's facing off with Borgov. I'm like...
Oh, I know. It's so good.
It's so good. It's like, you are a hot mess. Emphasis on the hot. Like...
So they kind of like previewed the scene at the very beginning in episode 1 where she walks in all late. I remember watching it. I was like, ooh, that outfit's good. And then it's like quickly changed to her being an orphan. I was like, oh, I was sad. So when we got back to the scene and she's like marching through the hallways, all hungover, but still looking like at her best though, I was just in love. I was like, oh, yeah, this is the show for me. And it paid off when we got to this scene.
It really does. And, like, it looks so good on her. However, the style of it isn't super fitted. Like, the sleeves kind of, like, bell out a little bit. Like, it's more of, like, a straight fit than fitted to her waist. So, like... even though it looks so good on her, because she's so fidgety and, like, hung over, it just, like, wrinkles in the right places to make her, like, so that you know, like, oh, she is struggling.
Yeah, she's, like, constantly pouring herself water, which, you know, we all been there. But every time she goes to, like, pour herself some water, you could see, like, the costume really just kind of dangling all over the place. You're like, oh my gosh, she's a mess right now. So it's like the struggle bus is in full force right now.
It's so real. And I love Borgov keeps looking at her like, what are you doing?
I think even Borgov is disappointed. Like, I think
he is.
Deep down, he's like, oh, you know, like playing this girl is actually pretty fun because she is a worthy challenge. And she showed up late, a hot mess, and he's just like disappointed. He's like, really, girl? I was hoping for something a little more here.
Yeah, he's disappointed. We're disappointed. Because he's like, I have faced off with you before, and you had it together. You weren't messy.
All of this because she had to get a drink with Cleo, which I just want to talk about this scene.
Because she had to wear that red dress.
Oh, yeah. That looked good on her. I was like, oh, she looks good in red. But Cleo, my God, she is beautiful.
But no, I love that red dress. And it's just like she comes down because she's wearing like, I love this. It looked like the comfiest outfit she wore in the entire series. It's this huge cream turtleneck sweater and then just like some cigarette pants, I guess. They look like leggings, but I'm like, it's the 60s. They're clearly not leggings. But she looks so comfy. She's like got her tea. And I was like, I kind of half expected her like just to go down in that. But it's when she comes down in that red dress, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no, this isn't going to go well.
Oh no, it's the red dress. We have a red dress in like every episode now that we've talked about. Anytime a red dress shows up, you know it's about to go down.
Something's about to go down. And then I was like, okay, well maybe she will just have one drink and that'll be it. No, the scene changes and there's like 4 cups in front of her. And then Cleo's like, ooh, let's go talk to these hat guys over here. And she's like, okay.
This is a disaster. So fast forward, Paris definitely does not work out. So now we have to talk about Beth's spiral out of control when she gets home. This is a real spiral.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad.
It's so bad.
It's so bad. I love the outfit she's wearing when she hits her head. Just like this nasty blue tank top and a tan sweater. I'm like, honey, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's just she looks like a mess, and I love that as the costume designer Gabriele Binder really she was able to display emotion through the clothes that Beth was wearing through each scene, and like this tank top, even though it's literally just like this really messy kind of tacky tank top, it says so much about how she's feeling, and right now she's feeling an absolute tragic mess right now.
Yeah,
it shows.
Even when she cleans herself up, it doesn't get any better. Because it's like, okay, she has to go to that competition to, like, take a picture, do a piece, whatever. She's, like, got a beanie on, which I'm like, that is the look of every suffering millennial. Like, when you have a hangover and you have to go do something the next day, it's like, okay, here's your beanie. Like, she's wearing that, like, weird orange top, like, black jacket. And her makeup is always on point. In this scene, while it is very, like, cool and trendy, it's like you're clearly trying to, like, cover something up here. Like, you're in Kentucky, not New York.
Yeah, it's very Twiggy inspired, and it's just, like, I love that she doesn't have her own sense of style. You know, she's developed it over the years, but her style is very from, you know, watching TV like she was doing when she was spiraling, and she's like, oh, that's, like, the character I'm gonna study and become now to, like, cover up the exact disaster she has inside of her.
Yeah.
But she's still, like, the tragedy is still peeking through. I was so sad about this high school scene. I was just really upset because I really was hoping it'd be like a fun reunion, and she screwed it up.
She screwed it up. Like, that really nice girl who was the first person she beat in a competition comes just to see her to be like, oh, hey, like, congratulations.
I was so excited. I was like, oh, she's back. It's going to be so cute.
And Beth is just like, huh? What?
Yeah. Ugh. She, like, starts trying to smoke in the high school. Just like, girl, get it together, man.
Get it together. And, like, even Harry comes and is like, I've seen you at the grocery store and haven't said anything because I know it's not good.
No, I could see you from down the aisle and you look like a real mess right now. Like, please. Ugh, what a disaster. But things start to turn around when Beth gets home and we have the return of one of my favorite characters. Jolene shows up.
Jolene!
I love Jolene's costume. It's very like 60s. I love the hair and the black leather jacket with the orange turtleneck. It's just, this look is so right. I love it so much.
It is. And like, she was at the orphanage, she was always like the tough girl. And it's like, she's clearly still that, but she's all grown up. She's like sophisticated and like ready to take on the world in this outfit.
Yeah. Jolene shows up and she's just like, this is a real freaking disaster and I'm here to help you because you're a real mess. I could sense it from across the country. You're a real disaster.
Yeah. Well, let's just get into just how much Jolene helps her.
Oof, okay, so episode 7, Endgame. Jolene's visit is prompted by the death of Mr. Shable and hopes that they can go to the funeral together. After the funeral, Beth and Jolene visit the orphanage where they grew up and discover that Mr. Shable was following Beth's career the entire time. With the help of Jolene, Beth is able to get herself back together so she could go and compete in Russia. Once she gets to Russia, Beth is destroying the competition, just like we knew she would. She's just really putting people down. But during her adjourned game with Borgoff, she gets a visit from an old friend, Towns, who with assistance from all of her friends back home, help her in her final face-off with Borgoff. They really come together, almost like the chess Avengers in the episode titled Endgame, which is interesting. But it's through her own genius and self-realization that Beth beats Borgoff and understands just how much she is capable of. This is a beautiful episode. I loved it. The perfect finale. It gave me everything I needed. It
really is. Jolene comes and realizes, like, within a couple minutes that Beth is just out of control. She's like, I haven't seen you in years, and I know there's a major problem here.
Yeah, you look and smell like a mess. Just look at you.
Yeah. Yeah. She's like, you need to get it together. When she opens the cabinet and sees the old tranquilizers they used to get, she's like, I told you to be careful with these.
I know. Jolene's like, girl. And then also at the same time, though, I'm like, I don't want to say it's Jolene's fault because it's not. But she didn't really do much in a sense of making sure she didn't take these tranquilizers when they were kids. You know,
Yeah. They were also kids.
They were kids, but she kind of encouraged it in a way. So, but it's not Jolene's fault. But that must have been a daunting moment when she opened the cabinet and was like, oh,
you weren't careful with these.
This is a great episode. I love all the scenes that Jolene and Beth have together. I love their cute little tennis outfits. I love that they're like very kind of matching, where Beth has like her white headband and Jolene has her blue headband. Very cute. Ugh, I'm so mad at Beth, though, for not visiting Mr. Shable before all this happened.
I know, because I feel like after she got banned from playing chess, like, they didn't speak after that. And then you see the corkboard with, like, all her games and the articles about her and the picture, and it's just...
That's like, messed up.
She was, like, his daughter.
I know. I'm so mad at the showrunners for making me watch the scene. I was crying. How dare you?
I was like, this is too much. Like, I can't.
But yeah, the costumes in these first scenes are brilliant. But let's just get to Russia. We all know that that's where we want to talk about the costumes.
It is. And this is, again, where Gabrielle brought in that green color again, which for her, she wanted to represent home. Vogue, she said, we wanted to create a moment when she could once again come home, which is why she's wearing the same color dress in the final tournament in Moscow. It's the color that really makes her fragile, but in the end, it's the same color, is her strength and symbolic of a homecoming. And it's like she really does come into her own in these last couple scenes.
Oh, yeah. And I love that. Like, she's in a good place. She feels healthy. She's, I believe, sober. And she's just, like, really pulling out all of her best looks because, like, this is, like, what her entire life and career has led up to. So she puts everything she has into these days in Russia. And it's so satisfying.
It's so good. And, like... every single dress is a knockout. Like, there's that gray-green one with, like, the almost, like, built-in looking collar There's her tan checkered jacket that she wears every day, which I was like, oh, this is a good one.
Ooh, I love that coat.
Gabrielle said of that coat, the checkered coat that she wears to leave the tournament in Moscow was a beautiful vintage piece that we found, which I believe was designed by Andre Corges, an American designer as part of a collaboration. This was a very self-confident piece. We wanted the visuals of a strong decision referenced by the Czechs. I was like, ooh,
yeah.
Yes.
I love that in the finale. She just pulls out like her greatest like checkerboard print. Like, this is it. You know?
Yeah.
There's just so much good stuff in this episode. I didn't even mention the t-shirts that she wears before she gets to Moscow.
All the handmade t-shirts.
Are they handmade? They're so good.
Almost everything in the show was handmade.
Oh, wow. Ooh, Gabriele Binder was killing it, man.
Yeah, she was.
There's just every look. I love when she gets into her scene to her hotel in Russia and she sits down on the bed in like that coat with like the textile on the bed at the same time. It just works so beautifully.
It's so good. And I love when she's in that game against the older Russian player. I was kind of like, is this Albert Einstein?
But that was fun, though.
That was so much fun. He was a great player. But then she wears that green velvet dress. And I was like, oh, like, it looked so comfy. And like, she was like, I'm comfy and confident. How about you? She's so confident right now. She's not worried about anything. Like, whatever happens is going to happen. But she's pretty sure she's going to win. And then she goes to play Borgoff. And like you said, she's wearing like that green undertoned. It's kind of like a gray, but has like green undertones to it. I love the structure on it. I love the princess seams. It's so stunning. And, like, this is the ultimate Peter Pan color. Yeah.
I mean, I love it so much. It's like they had to pull off everything in her last match. And what I loved about this episode is that we had, and this is true for like for life and people you meet, but like you have this predetermined notion on how people are going to be. Is this character going to be evil? Are they going to be mean? You know, are they here to just ruin me? But I love that, like, in playing, you know, that one chess player you mentioned who looked like Einstein, and also Borgoff. Like, at the end of each match, you know, the Einstein guy's like, you know, I really love playing with you. You're one of the best players I've ever played, and this was, like, a real honor. And when she plays Borgoff, he, like, literally, like, reaches out his hand, and he's like, I'm so proud of you, you know, like, you did that.
And they hug.
I know. That's when I started. That's when I started crying. I'm actually a little teary-eyed talking about it, because I was just like that. You know, I felt like the whole time I was like, oh, this guy is evil, you know, and he's just like, I'm so proud of you. Like, you killed it, Beth.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's right. She killed it.
I was in my living room clapping like a maniac. Because I was like, this is just so good.
It's the best ending. You know, I keep hearing people saying, like, we better get a season 2. I'm like, why? What else is there? Like,
There's no need for a season 2.
Yeah, it is perfect. I would just end it now. Everything that needed to be said had to be said.
Literally, her final outfit.
Oh,
that
man.
White hat with the poof, the white jacket. She is the queen of the chessboard of the world.
Literally.
She sits down to play with those old Russian men, and she's like, it's almost like, now chess is for fun.
Yeah, I was already crying after the scene with Borgoff, and then when she's just walking down the streets in this white coat with like the black peeking out and the white cap with a little puff on the top, I was like, she's literally a queen piece from the board.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with this. I started to cry some more. Like, I've never seen a costume that so perfectly wrapped up a show like this. This is beautiful.
Like, she is confident. She has it together. She has achieved everything she wanted in life so far. And she has this air of like, okay, I'm ready for whatever's next.
Gabriele Binder, like I said, was nominated for an Emmy, and this was the episode that they submitted, and I think so rightfully. I mean, just this queen outfit, that was it. You know, that was the nomination just in this one costume, let alone the entire show. So I just thought it was so beautiful. I could watch that scene over and over. She just looks so happy. She's glowing. She looks like an angel. She's the queen of the world right now. She's like beat the game. You know, she finished the game against Borgoff and found her win, but I feel like she also like won in a game against herself and like the battles with all of her addiction, depression. She's finally come into who she is. She's found herself, and I just love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's so good. And like, we didn't really touch on it, but like this last episode, she's really coming to terms with like who her birth mother was and like how she kind of like ended up where she is today. And it's just like,
don't cry, Elizabeth. I'm gonna cry with you.
I'll try not to. It's so good.
And that brings us to the end of the Queen's Gambit. Oh my gosh, I loved this show. I'm so glad we watched it. I'm probably gonna rewatch it, honestly, because I just loved it so much.
I like wasn't expecting to like it this much. Like anything with like any sport in it, like I'm immediately like, okay, I'm probably not going to watch that. Like, that's just like my starting point. Like I'm just like not a big sports person. Like I'm not going to understand half the references, but like Anya Taylor-Joy in this role, she makes it so interesting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she deserves her Emmy nomination. Would not be surprised if she wins. She is so impressive in this role.
She's so impressive. Like, everything else comes together, too, from, like, the script, the direction, the set design, the costumes. Everything just, like, rolls together, and it's like, oh, this is good.
I would say this is a perfect TV show. I don't have any negative things to say about it. I loved it so much, and I'm so glad we watched it. So, what are we watching next week?
Spencer, are you ready to just head in a wildly different direction?
I'm ready. No more crying. I need something less crying.
Who could cry in the perfectly situated world of Clueless?
As if. I'm so excited.
As if. Totally.
Oh, no.
Are you ready?
Yay, we're finally watching Clueless. This is such a staple of costume design. There was no way we couldn't talk about Clueless in our first season of the podcast.
I know. It really is. Shockingly, I've never seen it before.
Okay, come on, man.
I don't know. There's like a bunch of movies that I just somehow missed growing up, and this is one of them. Okay,
well, I've seen Clueless 2 million times, so I'm excited to watch this with you. It's going to be so much fun. I'm totally bugging right now.
I'm excited. I hope you all are excited. If you liked what you heard, please follow us, give us a like, share us with your friends. If you really, really, really liked us, leave us a 5-star review. That'd be lovely. But most of all, have a fantastic week.
Have a good week. Play some chess. Do the Sicilian roundabout or whatever it was called.
Yeah, learn chess, then play
it. Have a good week.
Have a good week, everybody.
The Art of Costume Blogcast is hosted by Elizabeth Joy Glass and Spencer Williams.
Produced by Elizabeth Joy Glass with associate producer Spencer Williams.
Our sound design and engineering is done by Daniel White.
Follow us on Instagram at The Art of Costume Pod.
Or visit theartofcostumeblogcast.com for all blogcast updates.
For more costume reviews, deep dives, and interviews, visit theartofcostume.com.
A blog dedicated to highlighting the best in costume design.